My dad sold my car and purchased a new couch for him and his new wife. What would you do if your own father stole the one thing you'd worked tirelessly for, just to impress his new wife? Because my dad did exactly that, he sold my car, the car I saved for since I was 14, all to buy a massive, ridiculous couch. Seriously, I'd busted my butt. Since I was 14, I worked every summer and after school, grocery store, restaurant, landscaping. For long years. I squirreled away every single penny, all $12,000, for a reliable car. Not some flashy sports car, just something dependable to get me through college and my first job. My dad, though? He just scoffed. Said I should have bought something cooler. He never offered a dime, never helped, just griped that my practical car made him look bad. Can you believe the nerve? Fast forward 2 years. My dad, after knowing Denise for a mere 4 months, married her. She swooped in with her 3 kids, all older than me, by the way, and immediately started this massive redecorating spree. Every single week, something had to go. Doesn't match my vision, she'd declare. The coffee table was wrong. The kitchen chairs were outdated. The living room? Oh, that needed a complete makeover. And my dad? He just nodded along, maxing out credit card after credit card, all to keep his new wife happy. Then came spring break. I pulled into my dad's driveway, parked my car, and went inside. A few days later? It was gone. Vanished. I asked my dad, "Where's my car?" He calmly said he'd had it towed because it was leaking oil. But I looked. Not a drop. No oil stain. Nothing. My gut clenched. I called the tow company, and they confirmed it, taken to impound, per the owner's request. And who was the owner? My father. Yeah, I'd made the boneheaded mistake at 18 of putting his name on the title for insurance. I raced to the impound lot, frantic. They told me my car had been signed over, marked for auction. My own father. He'd sold my car to a wholesale auction for quick cash. I confronted him. And there she was, Denise, perched on this colossal, massive leather sectional, the new queen of the living room. She was practically caressing it, gushing about how perfect it was for their new life. And my dad? He looked at me, completely straight-faced, and said, "Well, it's technically my car, my name's on the title. And you weren't using it enough." My blood ran cold. Not using it enough? I was home on break from college where I used it every single day. He had the audacity to suggest I take the bus back to school. Then Denise chimed in, with that smug tone, "Oh, young people are just too attached to material things anyway." I wanted to scream. This woman, who demanded every single thing be new and perfect, was lecturing me about being materialistic for wanting the car I paid for? My dad, ever the master of manipulation, said he'd done me a favor, now I wouldn't have to worry about maintenance or insurance. I shot back, "I pay my own insurance. And I just did all the maintenance over winter break." He just shrugged, "You're being ungrateful for all I've done." Done? All he'd done was put his name on a piece of paper. And then the kicker, Denise, with a beaming smile, said the money from my car went to good use, making their home beautiful for their blended family. Meanwhile, her 3 kids, all older than me, were sprawled on my couch, the couch my car paid for, snapping photos for social media, praising their mom's great taste. It was sickening. I called my mom, sobbing. She tried to calm me down, saying, "Just let it go, honey. Fighting with your father isn't worth it." But bless her heart, she didn't just let it go. She called her brother, Uncle Vincent, who happens to be a lawyer. Uncle Vincent confirmed what my gut already knew. What my dad did was technically legal, but morally reprehensible. He said if I could prove I'd paid for the car myself, every single penny, I might have a case for theft by conversion. And guess what? I had everything. Every receipt, every bank statement showing my earnings from those jobs. Proof. Solid proof. Uncle Vincent sent my dad a letter, letting him know we were prepared to take legal action. Oh, the phone call that followed. My dad was screaming, absolutely screaming, that I was tearing apart his new family over a stupid car. Then Denise got on, calling me a spoiled brat, trying to ruin their happiness. Uncle Vincent just told me, document everything they say. Every single word. Then, a miracle happened. Seriously. The auction house called me. They'd found my college parking permit and some mail in the glove compartment. They wanted to verify the sale. I explained everything, pouring my heart out. And then they told me the car hadn't sold yet. It was going up the next week. They couldn't stop it, but they gave me the time and place. I was ecstatic, but then the crushing reality hit. I couldn't afford to buy my own car back. But Uncle Vincent had an idea. A brilliant, sneaky idea. He reached out to Denise's ex-husband, Carl. Carl was loaded, owned a chain of restaurants, and let's just say he was still pretty bitter about Denise leaving him for my dad, who, let's be real, had no money. Uncle Vincent told Carl the whole story, especially about the ridiculous couch. Carl thought it was hilarious. My dad selling his own kid's car to buy furniture for Denise? Priceless. So Carl shows up at the auction. He bought my car for $15,000, $3,000 more than it was worth, just to drive up the price. Then he called me. "Kid," he said, "you can have it back for exactly what you paid, $12,000. My heart soared, then sank. I didn't have $12,000 anymore. But Carl wasn't done. "You can work it off at my restaurants this summer," he offered. "Then the car's yours." And here's where it gets really good. Carl knew Denise would recognize that car. Oh, he knew. He made sure to drive it past my dad's house not once, not twice, but a few times before officially handing it over to me. Denise saw it. Of course, she did. She demanded to know why Carl had my car. When she found out he'd bought it specifically to give back to me, she completely lost it. I wasn't there to see it, but my dad called me that night, and I could hear her in the background. Still screaming. He sounded utterly exhausted. He actually asked me to return the car to Carl, to keep the peace. I just stared at the phone. "No," I said. He tried to guilt-trip me, saying I was tearing apart his marriage over something technically his. I finally snapped. "It was never yours. Your name was on a piece of paper, but I paid for every cent." He insisted Denise was having a breakdown and I needed to be the bigger person. My jaw dropped. "Why do I have to be the bigger person?" I shot back, "when you're the one who sold my car without asking." He hung up. Just like that. The very next morning, I was making coffee in my apartment when there was a knock. I hadn't given them my address, but my dad, somehow, got it from the college. Before I could even speak, Denise just shoved past him and walked straight into my living room, inspecting it like she was a real estate agent. My dad sheepishly followed. I just stood there, door wide open, wondering if I should call the cops. Denise immediately launched into this tirade about how disrespectful I was being to their new family. How they had worked hard to build something beautiful, and I was trying to destroy it out of spite. My dad just nodded along, a rehearsed puppet. She actually told me I should be grateful they used my car money for something that benefits everyone instead of just me. I just looked at her. How exactly does a couch in your house benefit me when I live 2 hours away at college? I asked. She smugly replied, "Family is about sacrifice and sharing resources." I pointed out that her 3 kids, all older than me, hadn't sacrificed a damn thing. My dad mumbled, "This isn't about them." Denise, this woman who'd known my father for less than a year, kept droning on about how the couch represented their commitment to blending their families and creating a welcoming space. I finally cut her off. "You could have created a welcoming space without stealing my car." She called me dramatic, said young people don't understand the value of investing in a home. I almost laughed in her face. My dad finally piped up, "Maybe we could work something out. I could help with some bills, and they'd help you get another car eventually." That was it. "Get out," I said, pointing to the door. Denise tried one last threat, "You'll regret burning bridges with your own father." I just held the door open wider. And I waited. Until they walked out. That weekend, I started working at Carl's restaurant. It was a proper place, bustling, with a full bar and a nice patio. Carl met me, showed me the ropes. My first job there? Dishwasher and prep cook. My hands were raw by the end of an 8-hour shift, scrubbing pots, chopping vegetables. But man, it felt good. Honest work, earning my car back. Carl even offered extra shifts, fed his employees, paid fair. I was grinding. Then, about 2 weeks later, while I was cramming for finals, my phone rang. It was my dad. His voice was frantic, stressed. He launched into this rapid-fire explanation about credit card payments, killing them. He actually had the nerve to ask if I could loan them money to get through the month. I just stared at the phone. "Dad," I said, "you literally just sold my car and spent the money on furniture." He got defensive instantly. "That's different. Denise needs it for her mental health. For our home environment." I couldn't believe it. "A couch is mental health treatment?" I asked, incredulous. He scoffed, "You wouldn't understand, you've never been married, never had to blend a family." "Oh, I understand," I cut in, "I understand you stole from your own kid to buy something you couldn't afford." He whined that he wasn't asking for much, just one payment, to avoid late fees. "No," I said. He called me selfish. And hung up. Just a few days later, my phone blew up. It was Denise's oldest daughter, posting on social media, tagging me in some passive-aggressive rant about how some people just can't let their parents be happy. Her siblings immediately piled on in the comments, agreeing. Then the middle one posted a photo of that ridiculous, infamous couch, with some sickening caption about family investments and how some people don't understand sacrifice. Dozens of strangers, clueless to the truth, were commenting, gushing about the beautiful couch and how lucky Denise was to have such a supportive family. My blood was boiling. I wanted to tell the real story, to expose them, but I knew it would just escalate the drama. Then another one of her kids shared a post about ungrateful children who think the world revolves around them. Tagged me again. My roommate saw it, asked what the hell was going on. I explained everything. He just said, block them all. I considered it. But part of me, the twisted part, wanted to see what kind of garbage they'd come up with next. Uncle Vincent called me again. He laid out my options. I could sue for the difference in the car's value, maybe even for emotional distress. I considered it for almost a week. The thought of dragging my own father through court for years, it just exhausted me. I called Vincent back. I can't do it, I told him. I just want to move on. Let my dad deal with the mess he created. Vincent understood, but he made sure I knew the option was always there. A month into my restaurant job, my dad tried a new tactic. He called, suddenly apologetic. Said he was sorry about how things went down and wanted to make it right by helping with textbooks next semester. I braced myself. The catch. It always came. And there it was, I'll need you to tell Denise's kids to stop harassing you online first. My jaw tightened. So my forgiveness is conditional on making your life easier with your new family? I asked. He stammered, no, it's not like that, just, if we all move past this, everyone benefits. I'm not telling Denise's kids to do anything, I said flatly. And I don't need your help with textbooks. He called me stubborn, said families should forgive each other. I shot back, families shouldn't steal from each other in the first place. Silence. He mumbled he'd call later. He didn't call for 3 weeks. One slow shift, Carl leaned against the counter near the dish pit. He asked how I was doing. Managing, I said. He started talking about his marriage to Denise. How she always needed the next new thing to feel happy. It started small, clothes, decorations, but it escalated. A new car, a kitchen remodel, vacations they couldn't afford. He said watching my father was like seeing a car crash in slow motion. He'd bought my car back, he admitted, partly because he knew exactly how Denise operated. He wanted to throw a wrench in her plans. She'll bleed him dry within a year, Carl predicted, then move on to someone else who can give her what she wants. I asked if he thought my dad would ever figure it out. Carl just chuckled, some people have to learn things the hard way. That night, walking home from the library, my mom called. She sounded so nervous, which was totally unlike her. She had something to tell me about my dad. She confessed he'd done similar things during their marriage, taking money from her savings for his own purchases, without asking. She told me about $3,000 she'd saved for a new roof, money he used to buy a motorcycle he sold 6 months later. I should have warned you, she whispered, when you put his name on the title. But I hoped he'd changed. She hadn't wanted to badmouth him. I told her, honestly, I wished she had said something sooner. She just sighed, I know now. But back then, I really believed people could change. The very next week, during a dinner shift, I saw them walk in. My dad and Denise. They were seated in a back corner. I was in the kitchen, hidden, but I could watch them through the window. Denise was gesturing wildly, talking fast and loud. I couldn't make out the words, but her tone was unmistakable. My dad just sat there, looking utterly drained. Then, she snapped. Got up, stormed out of the restaurant. My dad just sat there for 10 long minutes, staring at his untouched plate. Finally, he left some money and trudged out after her. Our server came back to the kitchen, rolling her eyes. They barely touched their food, she said. The woman complained about everything, temperature, music, wait time, and they'd only been here 20 minutes. Meanwhile, Carl started noticing me. Around my 3rd week, he pulled me out of the dish pit. Shadow Rita today, he said. Rita, a veteran server, taught me everything, how to carry plates, how to anticipate needs, how to handle anyone without losing your cool. By the end of the shift, she told Carl I was a natural. He moved me to the floor permanently. The tips? So much better than washing dishes. I was raking in an extra $100, even $150 on busy nights. My debt was disappearing faster than I thought possible. Carl kept meticulous track in a little notebook. Every week, I'd hand him cash, and he'd update my balance. By mid-June, I'd already paid off almost $4,000. I was finally, actually getting ahead. One night after closing, wiping down tables, I got an Instagram message. Blurry profile pic, weird username, I almost deleted it as spam. But then I saw my dad's name in the preview. I opened it. It was from Denise's middle daughter, the one who posted that infuriating couch photo. Her message was long. You could tell she'd agonized over it. She apologized for the social media posts, said her mom had pressured them to post that United Family garbage. Things at home were really tense, she said. Money was tight. Her mom kept buying things they couldn't afford, while my dad freaked out over credit card bills. She was starting to see her mom had a spending problem. And maybe, just maybe, selling my car had been wrong. I didn't know what to say. I left it on read for days, just processing. Finally, I sent a short reply, appreciate the apology. Hope things get better. She replied instantly, asking to get coffee sometime, saying she had no one to talk to. I politely said, maybe after things calm down. What I really meant was, probably never. The first week of July, my phone started buzzing in my locker during a dinner shift. Non-stop. 7 missed calls from my dad. 3 voicemails. The first, I need to talk to you, ASAP. The second, his voice was shaky, strained. The third? He was crying. My father. Crying. I'd never heard him cry before, not when his own dad died, not during the divorce from my mom. Never. I called him back. He picked up on the first ring. He'd lost his job that morning. Fired. Performance slipping, he admitted, because of Denise and the money problems. He was distraught. Unemployment wouldn't cover half their bills, and Denise was freaking out about losing their lifestyle. Everything was falling apart, he kept saying, asking me what he should do, like I had the answers to the mess he created. But for the first time, I heard it, a genuine crack in his voice. A desperate sadness. He sounded smaller. For the first time, he almost sounded like he regretted what he'd done to me. I just told him I had to get back to work and he needed to start looking for a new job. He actually thanked me. Which, honestly, felt weirder than anything. 2 days later, my phone exploded with notifications while I was trying to sleep. I jolted awake, heart pounding, thinking the worst. It was Denise. A Facebook post. A monstrous, sprawling rant about how I'd destroyed their family by being selfish and ungrateful. She blamed me for my dad losing his job, said it was because of the stress I caused by taking legal action over a car that wasn't even legally mine. She called me a spoiled brat who couldn't stand to see my dad happy, said I'd rather tear apart their blended family than let go of material possessions. She tagged everyone, my cousins, aunts, his friends, old neighbors. Dozens of people I barely knew were piling on, saying I always knew she was trouble or what kind of kid sues their own father. A few tried to defend me, but most of the comments were absolutely brutal. I took screenshots of everything, my hands shaking, and sent them to my mom and Uncle Vincent. My mom called, frantic. This is out of control. Are you okay? 10 minutes later, Uncle Vincent called. Don't respond to anything. Do not delete those screenshots. He sprang into action. That same day, he sent Denise a cease and desist letter. His assistant drafted and sent it by certified mail within 3 hours of me sending those screenshots. The letter accused Denise of defamation, making false public statements that damaged my reputation. It demanded she remove the post and issue a public apology within 24 hours, or he would file a lawsuit on my behalf. He also sent a copy to my dad, with a scathing note, disappointed you allowed your wife to publicly attack your own son. Denise took the post down that night. She put up a new one, a classic non-apology, saying she'd been emotional and upset and apologized if her previous post had been hurtful or inaccurate. Uncle Vincent said it was enough to avoid a lawsuit. The next morning, he called. This is what legal tools are for, he explained. Protecting yourself from people who try to destroy your reputation when they're angry. Knowing when to use them, and when to let things go, that's part of being an adult. I thanked him, profusely. That's what family does for each other, he said. And that hit me hard. Family. My dad was supposed to be family. But he'd let his wife trash me online without saying a single word to stop her. Mid-July, Carl called me into his office during a lull. I braced myself, thinking I'd messed up. Instead, he was smiling. He said I was doing great, reliable, good with customers. Then he offered me a permanent part-time position for the school year, decent money, flexible hours, even a potential shift supervisor role. My brain immediately screamed yes, but I played it cool, said I'd think about it. This wasn't just a job, it was real experience. Carl then said something that really stuck with me. He was impressed with how I'd handled everything with my dad and Denise. Most people your age would have fallen apart or gotten bitter, he said, but you just kept working, stayed focused. Coming from Carl, who knew Denise's games intimately, that meant the world. Early August, my dad called again. He sounded even worse. 3 months behind on the mortgage. Unemployment checks weren't enough. Foreclosure. They might lose the house. A part of me, the kid part, felt bad. He was still my dad. I didn't want him homeless. But another, colder part of me just kept seeing that $15,000 leather sectional, dominating their living room, while they couldn't pay their mortgage. I remembered my car, Denise's Facebook rant, his utter lack of apology. This was the consequence. The direct result of terrible choices. I told him I was sorry he was going through that, but what exactly did he expect me to do? He mumbled he wasn't asking for anything, just wanted me to know. But I heard the unspoken plea in his voice. He was begging for help. The last Saturday of August, I made my final payment to Carl. I'd worked my butt off all month, extra shifts, just to get that last $800. Carl counted the cash, updated his little notebook, then pulled out the car title. It was signed over to me. Only my name. No one else. He shook my hand. "You've earned this car twice over," he said. He actually wished his own kids had half my work ethic, seeing how I'd handled everything. His kids, I heard, still lived off his money. I thanked him for the chance. He told me the part-time offer for school still stood. I said, "I'm taking it." I walked out to that parking lot, holding that title. My title. I felt accomplished. Truly. 2 days later, my dad called. The house. He asked if I could help with one mortgage payment. They were out of time. I told him I needed to think. I called my mom. "Your decision," she said, "but be careful." I called Uncle Vincent. "If you help," he advised, "make it clear it's one time. Get everything in writing. He needs to understand conditions, consequences." I thought about it for a whole day. Finally, I called my dad. "I'll give you $2,000, I said. One time. But I want it in writing that you'll pay me back. And this is it. The only help you're getting. If you or Denise ever come after my car or my money again, I'm done. Completely done. No more chances. No family obligations. Just, done." The phone was silent for a long moment. Then, his voice, softer than I'd heard in months, "I understand. I accept your conditions." He sounded grateful. Not entitled. For the first time. "I made terrible choices trying to keep Denise happy," he said. "I should have protected your car." It wasn't a full apology, not really. But it was accountability. More than I expected. I told him I'd bring the money over. Hanging up, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Maybe, just maybe, something had finally shifted between us. Even if it was just a little bit. 3 days later, I drove to his house, envelope of cash in hand. He answered the door, looking older. Gaunt. Like the last few months had truly aged him. We went to the kitchen. He had a handwritten contract ready, simple, stating the $2,000 loan, $200 monthly payments starting in October. We signed. I handed him the envelope. He counted the money, slowly, twice. Then just sat there, staring at it, before tucking it into his wallet. He thanked me, said he didn't deserve my help after everything. "This is the last time," I reminded him. He nodded, "I understand completely." We sat in awkward silence. I left, feeling weird. A corner turned, maybe? 2 weeks later, packing for school, my dad called. "I need to tell you something," he said, asking me to come over. I found him on the front steps, not inside. He looked relieved to see me, almost lighter. "Denise and I are separating," he said. "She was moving in with her sister tomorrow." I asked if he was okay. "Honestly," he sighed, "better than I've been in months." The constant pressure to spend money they didn't have was destroying him. He couldn't live like that anymore. He needed to figure out his life, without someone always demanding more. Her kids were leaving too. He'd be alone. I didn't know what to say, so I just sat beside him. He apologized again for selling my car, for losing himself trying to make Denise happy. "I accept your apology," I said. "But things are different now, between us." He nodded. "I know. I deserve that." The next morning, I loaded my car for fall semester. Trunk full, backseat packed with dorm essentials. I drove the 2 hours back to campus, windows down, music blaring. I felt different. Lighter. Not like the scared kid who drove home for spring break. I had my car back, my name on the title. I had $3,000 in savings, earned through honest work. Real job skills, a supervisor path ahead. The sting of my father's betrayal still lingered, the thought of him trading my car for a stupid couch. But I knew I'd stood up for myself. I hadn't let him get away with it. I fought back, and I won. And that feeling? It made me stronger, fiercely independent. Fall semester began. My contact with my dad remained limited, texts once a week, safe topics. He found a new warehouse job, lived alone. Denise had taken most of her furniture, including that infamous couch. He was sleeping on an air mattress, eating at a counter. He didn't complain, he just mentioned it, almost like he deserved it. Our relationship wasn't what it once was, and probably never would be. But we had boundaries now, clear ones, built on respect. He knew if he crossed those lines again, I was done. And I think he finally believed me. Thanksgiving break. I drove to my mom's house. A big dinner, Uncle Vincent and his family there. Around the table, laughing, talking. I realized how much stronger my bond with my mom had become. She had my back. Vincent had my back. My dad even texted me on Thanksgiving, grateful for the mortgage help, promising to pay me back. Looking back at everything, the car, the fight, my dad's marriage imploding, I realized this whole messy saga taught me the most important lesson: standing up for yourself. Sometimes, that means watching people face consequences you didn't want for them. But that's okay. You're not responsible for fixing their mistakes. I had my car, a good job, and genuine connections with people who truly supported me. My relationship with my father? It was complicated now. But finally, it was honest. Have you ever had to draw a hard line with family? Or watch someone learn a really tough lesson? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts.